ready.
And is that turned on?
Yeah, this is Robert Acosta, assistant principal, along with Ms. Reagan Regnier, here to do an observation feedback. Okay, you ready?
Yes.
All right, so let me start by saying that when I came to your lesson, I really enjoyed the fact and appreciate the fact that the last time that we met, we talked about engaging students in multiple response strategies, and we talked about table talk. And during the lesson, I was able to see them engage actually in the table talk, and it's very successful. It really had all the kids working together, looking at questions. So I think that that was a good step in implementing that, and I want to praise you for that.
Thank you.
Okay. And now moving forward, the question that I have for you, when I was looking at the lesson, which was about volume, what was your purpose with that specific lesson?
The goal was to make sure students were able to find the volume of a rectangular prism. So they went into the inquiry-based problem and coming up with the volume of the rectangular prism instead of me just giving it to them.
Okay. And how do you feel the lesson went?
I think it went well. One of the things that I would probably change about the lesson is with the table talk that we had talked about, I just clapped 3 times for students' attention, and instead I should have had the students actually do something in return, to make sure they're all accountable and
I think that's a good idea, because I did notice that when you're calling for attention, 1, 2, 3, it was taking them a couple more seconds to come back. So that would facilitate your pace as well and help you with that. One thing I want to bring your attention to is I did notice when you were doing the guided practice portion of the lesson, the kids were working with their worksheets and they were answering questions. And I did notice that because of your pacing that you're trying to move along, not all the students had finalized the problem before you moved on. And you did give them the answer during the process, and then I feel that half of them, they needed extra practice. So perhaps if you let them do the heavy lifting of the work, and I remember that you were doing the trying to find out the area, which was the square with the 9 by 6, which is 54.
Right.
Those kids who did not get the answer, you will notice that if you work with them during the guided practice to make sure that they actually can work out the problem, or you conference with them individually, when they get to the independent practice part, then they will move by quicker with independence practice. So you want to grab the understanding and the learning gaps during guided practice, more so than before you get to independent practice, and that's one way to do it. Now, how many problems you had when you were doing that?
I just had one problem. It was only the finding the area, and then there was another one that we were going to about volume. So it was just that one.
So you were doing those 2 problems. If, like, moving forward, you feel like you had too many problems during guided practice, that you can gauge their understanding during those problems, you may want to manage like how many problems you have. Maybe if you have 4, instead of 4, have 2. If you have 2, maybe have 1. Enough time like to have them work deeply with one and get that problem done.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So instead of just having the 1, maybe have more, so then I can help the kids focus on like 1, and then the kids that are done can go ahead and go on to
have
more.
less that you can measure for the students that are struggling. The more is fine, like you said, that's a good idea, because you probably have kids who are ahead of the game.
Right.
So you're going to keep them busy. So by all means, you can have 4, but then look at 1 or 2 for the kids who are struggling.
Right.
So
like
you can conference with them on those.
1 or 2.
And one way to do that, if we may, and you can help me with a camera, is I'll model for you.
Okay.
As part of the practice quickly as to how I would do that part.
Sounds good.
Okay. And you got it.
Okay. Is it going to stay there?
So I guess one way that you can do it would be, you can come here and you do, so you had your square and you have the 9 times 6, right? You did the problem, they were doing the problem, you put it on the board, and you stood around, and half of them finished, the other half have not. Then you move forward, you get them the answer, which is 54, and please write this in your guided notes as you move along. Instead, give them a little bit more time to work it out, walk around, and then see who's struggling, and then find out where they're struggling, redirect them or help them, and then move forward with that. Have that interaction during that time.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
All right. Okay, so looking at next week, when do you think that I can come back and look at your lesson and kind of like look for those, for that kind of strategy being implemented?
I would say maybe next Tuesday during the same period, so you can see those same kids and see how they're progressing.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay.
That sounds good. Sounds awesome. So the next Tuesday?
Next Tuesday,
for
I'll
the
mark
7th
that
period.
down here.
Tuesday, 7 period. And what I'm looking for is during guided practice, having all the kids engage in the problem and you being able to check for understanding during the
And
guided
helping them.
practice.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. Sounds great. Thank you, Ms. Ray.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right. Thanks a lot.